After-school satanic clubs may be coming to a school near you. The Temple of Satan is petitioning school boards across the nation to allow them to host satanic clubs, arguing that they have a right to do so under the Constitution. The group plans to roll out its clubs at schools where Christian clubs are allowed, claiming religious liberty under the First Amendment gives them that right. The clubs will supposedly provide a literature and science lesson, puzzle solving, an art project, and a healthy snack.
Religious after-school programs should include all religions, including the Satanic Temple. That is according to the group that's starting the Satan Club program across the country. The group tells us they actually don't believe in God or Satan.
We don't believe in a God or a Satan. Satan to us is a literary figure that embodies eternal rebellion against tyranny. So, you know, we're not there to convert your kids to Satanism. We're just there to provide another alternative.
The group sent out this letter to Centennial Elementary School that's in Mount Vernon, and it includes the Supreme Court ruling that Good News Club, a Christian-based group, and other religious groups are allowed as long as they don't use public funds. They say they're also looking at adding clubs in Tacoma and Puyallup.
A father saying tonight he does not want it at his daughter's school. The topic, an after-school Satan club.
Yeah, a group in Tucson wants to open up that club at a public elementary school. And we sent ABC 15's John Erickson to Tucson for this story tonight.
And John, the Satanists are saying they're only asking for fairness.
There's an after-school club here at Ross Scrooge Elementary in Tucson called the Good News Club. It is Bible-based. Now, the Satanists say they want a club too. There's a playground, there's basketball on campus at Ross Scrooge Elementary in Tucson. And if Satanists have their way, there'll be an after-school Satan club too.
That's the first thing I think is evil.
Conrad Duarte has a 7th grade daughter at the school.
It just doesn't sound good to me in a school setting.
Amy Jensen would teach the club.
Well, I picture it sort of more like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts.
Jensen's resume ticks off a master's in education, spent time teaching in Denver.
It is not where we sit down and we talk about Satan and we talk about religion and we talk about all of those things. Actually, those are thrown to the wayside, and they're based in science and more of cultural awareness and other people's beliefs, and I think that's really important.
Stu DeHaan and the Satanic Temple asked Phoenix and Scottsdale to let them say the invocation at city council meetings.
Hail Satan.
They were denied. Now, this request.
We're not here to get special privileges, we're here to get equal privileges.
He says the club would be kid-friendly.
Because we're not actually talking about Satan and Satanism because we have no interest in converting. It's just that in our religion, science and reason is what is the most valued, rather than superstition and supernatural.
And school starts in just a few days here. So far, the Satanists won't be allowed to have the club because they don't have a staff member to sponsor it. But Satanist Stu, as he's known on my phone at least, says it's not over yet.
Satanic Temple announces plans to launch an after-school Satan club at Nehalem Elementary School in Tillamook County. As K2's Joe Douglas discovers, this is just the beginning of a plan to start clubs like it throughout Oregon and the rest of the country.
The group admits this video announcing the after-school Satan club is unsettling.
I think a lot of people at the surface level look at the video and go, well, that was kind of creepy, and we know that.
Finn Rez, head of the Portland chapter of the Satanic Temple, says it's about exposing religious indoctrination.
So are you guys offering a different kind of indoctrination?
Everybody's indoctrinated, but our indoctrination is focusing on teaching kids to think for themselves.
In particular, Rez says he takes issue with a group called the Child Evangelism Fellowship. They run a non-denominational Christian program at schools throughout Oregon and the world called the Good News Club. John Luck, one of the group's leaders, says the clubs have a positive impact.
The Good News Club is basically an after-school club. It meets on a free will basis. The parents have to give permission for their child to come to the club.
One Good News Club is advertised at Nehalem Elementary School. Rez and the Satanic Temple say the club is oppressive, shaming kids and telling them they'll go to hell for doing what comes natural. Luck denies those allegations. Still, he admits a 2001 Supreme Court ruling gives his group and the Satanic Temple the right to hold meetings at schools.
But I think what they're going to find is there are no parents that want their kids to come to a club like what they're espousing.
We are offering an alternative program that basically teaches kids how to think critically and look at things from a scientific perspective. The meetings will be once a month. They'll last for probably an hour or two. And the curriculum will include science lessons, literature, art projects, things like that.
Joe Douglas, K2 News.
In schools in about 9 cities. Take a look. They've got the mascot here. There he is. I think that's a little graduation cap. It's got the candy cane working. And the Satanic Temple said, okay, we're not here to teach about the red guy and the pitchfork. It's about scientific rationalization, free thinking. But then you go on YouTube and you check out their video, and I'm going to let you listen to a little bit of it. It's going to chill a little bit of a chill down your spine. You get the red lettering in there, and it goes in deeper. You get the voices and the more foreboding music. So we've got a representative from the group. We'll ask about the video here. The question, though, is in all of this is, and especially in some of these cities where it's being targeted, what are parents saying about it? Here's how they're reacting.
It's America. I mean, you know, freedom of speech.
My preference would be no, that we don't have it. But their preference would be that Christians not have their group, too.
All right, and after school Satan targeting possible locations. There you see it in 9 cities. Atlanta, that's where you heard the parents from the Atlanta area, Los Angeles, Seattle, Springfield, so kind of across the country there. And joining me to talk a little further about this via Skype, co-founder, spokesperson for the Satanic Temple, Lucian Grievous is with us, and by phone, the vice president for USA Ministries, the Child Evangelism Fellowship. They have the Good News Club, it's a Christian after-school program. Moses Esteves joins us as well. Lucian, let me start with you. First off, clear up what you're teaching, because on one side, it's about critical thinking, but then I saw that video, that's got more of a Lucifer leaning to it. What are you teaching?
Well, we don't contain any items of religious opinion in our curriculum, in contrast to the Child Evangelism Fellowship and the Good News Clubs, which train children to proselytize to other children in public schools. We were hoping, actually, the video would be jarring and cause people to think about the lack of regulation and restriction on after-school club curriculum and the kind of materials that are being put forward in the schools. Because I think if most Christians knew what the Child Evangelism Fellowship was about and how they have an acrimonious relationship to many sects of Christianity, including the Catholic Church, they would be disgusted to know that they're coming in and training children, trying to coerce them into their way of fundamentalist isolationist thinking.
Okay, well, I'll ask Moses about that in just a sec, but while we're on what you guys are teaching, again, if you continue on with the video, you've got the foreboding voices and things like that, clear it up. Is it about free thinking, or are you talking about Satan in there to kids?
Well, I'm not sure where you're getting Satan in the video, other than that you see the imagery as being foreboding. It might be foreboding, but I don't think there's anything actually objectionable in any of it.
Okay, so again, teaching about Satan or not?
No, not teaching about Satan. It's a after-school club that's incidentally held by the Satanic Temple and executed by Satanists.
Got it. Okay. Moses Esteves is here. Esteves, sorry. So what is taught in the Good News Club after school?
Well, thank you for having me. The Good News Club is a nurturing, welcoming, privately sponsored after-school enrichment club, offering training in morals, character, leadership, citizenship, but from a Christian biblical perspective. We do a variety of fun activities with Bible stories, songs, and games, and we teach the children about God, that God loves them, that Christ loves them, and the children respond in wonderful ways to the message of the gospel and their lives are impacted very positively. As a matter of fact, their behavior starts changing for the better. We have principals that have said, and I just even recently read a quote, we have noticed an improvement in student behavior. Good News Club has provided us with an extra resource for our high-risk population. Another one said, since the Good News Club has been a part of our school, the office referrals have decreased. So we teach children to respect one another, respect their parents, respect their teachers from a Christian biblical base. And the community loves the clubs, and I think their enrollment demonstrates that too. Currently, we have 178,000 children coming to this club, and they come because they love it. They are loved by their teachers, and it's a very positive experience for the school and the community.
Okay, there's the both sides of this, but you, Lucian, you see that this group is indoctrinating kids, right? And you want to come
Not only that, they're not teaching the love of Jesus and the love of God. If you actually look at their material, they're specifically telling kids that they're sinners and that they will go to hell and that the ultimate outcome of the sin is death. And that's that's a primary reason why we think a counterbalance of having Satanists representing an after-school club and showing that people can be of a differing religious opinion or even embrace what looks like blasphemous imagery and still be moral and productive people. We think that sends a very positive message to children. Because the idea of Satanists as this kind of outgroup for which we justify witch hunts and outgroup purges has never been very constructive.
Well, on that point, and there was a tweet, a person named Maddie tweeted out this, but why didn't you just call it a science club and get the term Satan out of there if you want more of a critical free thinking?
Well, because we do have this history of outgroup making, and we have a history of burning witches that never existed or imprisoning Satanists that never were active. And this has happened as recently as the 80s and 90s in the United States, false accusations of satanic crimes. So we're not eager to uphold this idea of Satan's servants on earth and that people who disagree with a Christian perspective must necessarily uphold cruelty and destruction. And we think that kids should know that there's different meaning to different symbols for different people, and that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong.
Hey, Moses, I'll let you wrap it up here concerning Lucian's contention that a lot of what is taught in the Good News is about, the wages of sin is death and that so forth. Is that a bulk of what is taught?
Well, Child Evangelism Fellowship has been teaching for 79 years what the Bible has been teaching for 2,000 years. And that Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And this issue of the content of our clubs was thoroughly discussed before the justices of the Supreme Court in early 2001. And on June 11, 2001, on a vote 6-3, the United States Supreme Court ruled that Good News Clubs can be on a school campus and have equal treatment. The parents of the clubs are invited to come to the clubs. Many of them come, sit in the back of the room. They love the club. They love the content of the club. This is all negative publicity from this group of atheists. The people behind the after-school Satan clubs are atheists dressed up in scary costumes. This isn't a Satanist club. This isn't a devil-worshipping club. These are atheists trying to scare parents with pitchfork and devil horns. And so the bottom line is the parents, just like they sign permission slips for the kids to come to Good News Clubs, they're going to have to sign parental permission slips to come to these clubs. And just like an atheist club that completely flopped in New York last year because the parents wouldn't send their kids, the parents are not going to send their kids to these clubs.
All right. Well, both you guys had your say, and we've just run out of time there. So there's both sides of it. We'll see if any after-school Satan programs pop up in some of these 9 cities. Lucian, Moses, thank you guys for your time. All right. Now we're about to take you inside.